All right, so Wyoming lawmaker. No, I'm just kidding. Here's an article here. Wyoming lawmakers propose gun protection legislation. This is something interesting that I think all states will need to look at. Um, we have a tendency in the libertarian movement to want to push this idea of nullification, which basically means you, on a state basis, outlaw federal laws. That's kind of the way you do it. You can even criminalize federal agents coming into your state trying to enforce a law, excuse me. So the way this works is, why do we have to try to educate people about nullification? Just let Obama and Biden do their little, you know, um, executive order, and then that will kind of push nullification for us. So I think this is a great opportunity for libertarians to push nullification on a state-by-state level. In your state, contact your local senator or House representative, and then also your local state representatives to kind of get them all aware of this legislation and maybe even more legislation, not just this. But let me read this to you here, if I can breathe. Several Wyoming lawmakers are proposing legislation designed to protect gun owners from any potential federal firearm ban. The Firearms Protection Act bill, introduced this week, would make any federal law banning semi-automatic firearms or limiting the size of gun magazines unenforceable within the state's boundaries. Anyone trying to enforce a federal gun ban could face felony charges under the proposal. It also includes a provision allowing the Wyoming Attorney General's office to defend any state resident against any federal firearm ban. Now, this is where every action is going to be met with a reaction. So Wyoming takes this action, let's say it passes. Well, then the federal government's going to take some other sort of action. You're not going to get your government funding for whatever they threaten. They're not going to give them government money. And then Wyoming's going to respond to that. And then that's where you could start seeing threats, real, honest, actual threats of secession at some point in certain small conservative states. But that would be very later on. But this is kind of the general move. And, it is even possible that America, as we know it, could be broken up into pieces, especially as, currency crisis continues to develop. So it's on multiple levels. We've got a currency crisis, an economic crisis, lack of liberty, a liberty crisis, tyrannical government crisis, whatever you want to call it, because, we have so many freaking crises. And so it'll be interesting to watch how this moves forward, because it's very important to note that ultimately Democrats, progressives are largely brutal tyrants. Oh, unknown. Click. Are brutal tyrants who use the force of government. So if a state tries to secede, they will put a gun to your head. So just prepare for that. They'll claim and be all nice. It's kind of ironic because if Obama were sitting there preaching to some a dictator in the Middle East, actually some democratically elected leader in the Middle East, who was using force against people rising up against him, he would claim, you can't kill your own people. You can't kill your own people. Well, we'll see about that. The moment a state tries to secede, you watch what happens. If Obama's president, it will not be pretty. He will not ask, please stay in the Union, please. Oh, please. He will send in troops, especially if it's a big state that has a lot of tax revenue. Because ultimately, that's what this is about, theft, money. They want to steal it. So if people start trying to eject from their little fucking union of theft and war, then they'll just shoot you in the fucking head. They'll just attack with force. So, or not. We'll see. I don't know. But it's something to be aware of. See ya.